Hello, narrative writers. Welcome to your conclusion. Now, you have 3 different options here, and we're going to explore at least 2 of them. I'll kind of do a writer's choice for a third. I'll just leave that open, but you do have to give me 2. You have to give me feelings, and you have to give me either lesson learned, or theme. Okay? Let's take a look here, because we're wrapping this up, and this has to be a strong conclusion or an ending to your story. Now, again, we're gonna really focus here on the lessons learned for the character and possibly the feelings of the character, or maybe theme. You can kind of mix those up a little bit, because sometimes the feelings of the character lead into what the theme is. So, feelings at the end of the story. So what I'm probably going to have done here is, if you're struggling with this, and this is what I'm going to do, because again, my memory is whatever it is, I always go back to the main idea of my story, and I'm just going to go take a quick look at that. And step 5 kind of gives me everything about my story, you know. And again, I'm telling a story about the day I broke my arms, who my main character is, you know, Kim. She didn't want to get into trouble. She broke her arms because she was on the swing set on the playground. She went home, hid from the sister and the babysitter, and the babysitter found out, talked to a neighbor, took me to the hospital. Okay? So that's kind of like the beginning, middle, and end of my story. Gives you my problem, all of that. So that's kind of where I'm going with my story. So I need to discuss with you, how do I want to end this story? So now, the ending to that story can take a couple of different directions. Now, I could say, hey, I want you to know how I felt at the end. Now, considering the fact that I was so against my parents finding out that I had broken my arms, because my thinking was, as my first grade self, my parents were always giving me a hard time about going over and swinging really high, because I would stand on the swings and I would go really high. And they'd always tell me, you're gonna fall and break your arms, you're gonna fall and break your arms. And I was like, never, never, ever, ever, ever am I gonna break my arms. So the idea that I was wrong and they were right, I didn't want to hear it. I was embarrassed, and I didn't want to get in trouble, because I just felt that, oh my goodness, I was going to get my hind end just paddled for it. Did I learn something in the end? Possibly, but I know from my experience there that I had some very strong feelings in the beginning, middle, and end of my story. So that's kind of where I'm going to go with my story. Now, did I learn something? Absolutely did. So I am going to write that in there. But for me, it was way more strong to have feelings than what did I actually learn. I did learn something. And we'll cover that when I do that lesson, that video for the what lesson did I learn. Alright, so feelings at the end. Okay, so, usually you have to start out with some sort of transition. In summary, in the end, all in all. And I am going to end this with the transition phrase, all in all. So, all in all, with my dad sitting next to me with his arm around my shoulders, I felt nothing, I'm spelling that wrong, nothing but relief and exhaustion. He sat quietly beside me, waiting for me to catch my breath. Period. Once I was ready, comma, we both stood up and the automatic doors opened and we walked out. Dad was silent for the whole trip home. Okay, so I'm gonna have to make that a little bit bigger for all of us here. Oopsies. Have to fix that. Okay, all in all, was Dad sitting next to me, his arm around my shoulders. I felt nothing but relief and exhaustion. He sat quietly beside me, waiting for me to catch my breath. Once I was ready, we both stood up and the automatic door opened and we walked out. Dad was silent for the whole trip home. And that's how the story ends, you know? I told you my feelings, you know? There's a little bit more to it than that, but I'll talk about that before we get to the conclusion. That'll be in part of the writing of the story as I flesh more of the story out. Okay? You'll see how that all fits together. Alright? So that is feelings. What are your feelings at the end of the story? Okay? Mine were relief and exhaustion. You know, it was a hard day. I just broke both of my arms, so it was hard. No questions about it. Endings are hard. I'm not going to lie to you. These are not going to be super fast and super easy. You're going to spend maybe a day or two tinkering with this, okay? So, questions? Let me know. I'm really looking forward to reading some of your conclusions, you know? You play with it a little bit, you go back, you revise, you edit. It's a constant work in progress. But I am really excited that you are at nearly to the end of the story. You have your whole story just already all fleshed out. It's just so exciting. So let's get that going, and I'll see you around.